Copyright law and implication for instructional media. An instructional tutorial for educators, learners, and training developers by Komar Khan. After completing this tutorial, you'll be able to define copyright, fair use and teach act, identify categories that cover copyright, recognize when permission is required for using copyright materials, follow general guidelines for using copyrighted instructional media. This tutorial will be beneficial for the people encounter or produce media for instructional purposes in government, corporate, and academic settings. For example, educators, students, administrators, instructors, trainers, learners, project managers, developers, subject matter experts, multimedia developer, graphic designer, instructional designer, QA specialist, multimedia publisher, technical editor, manager, and supervisor. Copyright. Copyright is the law that protects using the works of other people without permission. The copyright protections that we normally associate with print also govern the use of audio, video, images, and text on the internet. TEACH Act. Technology Education and Copyright Harmonization Act was signed into law by President Bush on November 2, 2002. The law is built around permitting uses of copyrighted works in the context of mediated instructional activities. Educators should seek to implement the TEACH Act, but they should also be prepared for exploring alternatives when the new law does not work. Fair use. Fair use protects the rights of the people to use copyrighted materials for a limited use without requiring permission from the copyright holders. There are 4 factors used in federal court to make a fair use determination: purpose and character of the use, nature of the copyrighted work, amount and substantiality of the portion taken, effect of the use upon the potential market. Categories. Copyright law covers 7 broad categories: literary works, musical works, dramatic works, and also pantomimes and choreographic works, pictorial, graphic, and sculpture works, motion picture, audiovisual, sound, and architectural works. Permission for copyrighted materials. Permission is required when using instructional multimedia for profitable educational purposes, repeated or continuous course usage, commercial purposes, larger audience, unlimited access, number of copies used in classroom teaching, a larger portion of the copyrighted work used for teaching. Guidelines for using instructional multimedia and technology. In general, when using multimedia, for example, text, audio, video, animations, etc., or technology such as software, hardware, make sure to determine the individual is the original holder of the work. Obtain written permission of the copy and scope of the permission. Link when applicable. Using video. Without copyright clearance, copyright laws are infringed if the works of others is included in your production. Receiving copyright permission to publish original image does not allow permission to publish the modified one. Using software and hardware. Companies use software license agreements to prevent unauthorized uses of software and hardware. When purchasing software or hardware for your organization, make sure to read the license agreement carefully. Keep the license agreement for documentation. Contract the company or service provider for any uses beyond the term. Educators, students, and other personnel involved in instructional multimedia production can avoid copyright violation by understanding and following copyright laws and fair use guidelines. You need copyright clearance in writing from the authors, copyright holders for all materials that you use that were created by others.